Welcome back to Gunsmoke, a Spire RPG actual play from the House of Bob.
Hi, I'm Jessica. I'm playing Istrid Malel, the spider descendant midwife.
I'm Dan. I'll be playing Hugo Verite, the Vermissian Sage.
I'm Alex, and I'll be playing Geroth, the cannibalistic carrion priest.
I'm Christina, and I'm playing Leon LaCroix, bartender by night, knight by day.
And I'm Jake, your game master. If you like what you hear and want to support the show, please visit us at patreon.com/thehouseofbob. Last session, you intervened in a turf dispute between the Crimson Vigil and the Church of the Gun, making short work of the gun-toting Hellionites and saving the Crimson Vigilite recruiter, Corvy. With your show of force and a few tactical threats, you convinced him that he does not want you as an enemy. He agreed to stop recruiting from the school and offered to set up a meeting with his boss, Ignatius, to discuss perhaps further cooperation between the Ministry and the Vigil. He told you that Ignatius would be at the showing of the Weeping Maiden at the arena in 2 days' time, and that you could meet him backstage in the kitchen, and that he would be expecting you. Before we continue, though, there's a bit of cleanup from the end of last session to take care of. Firstly, Leon and Istrin both asked their bonds, Denise and Talaris, to do something for them, namely to try to get some information out of the students at the school. And when you use bonds, they take any of the resulting stress. And at the end of the session, I roll to see if they suffered any fallout. That could be, strain on your relationship, or they could face some kind of consequence, whatever. In this case, neither of them took enough stress for that to happen. So you're all good there, but just that's how the game works.
All right.
More importantly, when your actions in some way change the Spire, for better or worse, you get to level up. Last time you scared the local vigil off recruiting from the school, so you get to pick a new low advance from your class. What'd you guys pick? Alex?
I picked new tricks. So I taught my little doggy some new tricks. I taught Song 2 new things. So Song now knows how to growl. It's an important skill for a doggy.
Mm-hmm.
And also knows how to guard me. So will keep me safe if a bad thing happens, which, based on how things have gone, I think bad things might happen.
It
So
seems
far,
likely.
everything's gone pretty well.
It's been smooth sailing,
fine.
I think.
You've only brutally murdered one person.
Yeah, for our group, that's a record.
Right. Yes, I've only brutally murdered one person.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
We calmly and, respectfully killed 2 people.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think I killed it. Well,
Yeah, I think you said that it was non-lethal for those last 2 Hellionites, but
yeah, but I didn't do anything to help them after.
Yeah.
Or anything.
No, then they got
So.
eaten, so...
My conscience is free. I'm fine.
cool. Sounds good. Guard and growl. Christina, what's Leon sporting now?
Yeah, I took a skill. I'm just adding investigate to the things I can do. I think it makes sense because, he was part of the guard for his durance all that time. So chasing down perps, letting perps go, that kind of thing.
Perfect. Jessica?
I took an advancement. I did Web of the Mistress. Strands of silver magic extend from your fingertips, and you sense the vibrations caused by any intruders. Basically, a web goes out and you can sense any movement in the area of up to a large building size.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
You become a spiderman.
Basically.
Well, that's a lot cooler than what I picked.
It's pretty cool to have spider DNA.
I'm a big fan of it personally.
Yeah.
That's
Heck yeah.
pretty similar to an ability I almost chose instead of these ones. So I'm glad in retrospect
All right,
I
new
did
campaign.
not.
I'll be
Now we're down.
Spider-Man. All Spider-Man all the time.
Oh, and I do gain the pursue skill as well
Ah, nice.
from that. So,
Sounds like something Spider-Man would do. Good job.
yeah.
Yeah, I almost picked pursue.
You can get him, Spider-Man. You can do anything.
Yeah, that I cheer you on.
Dan, how about Hugo? Hugo. Sorry. Dan, how about Hugo?
It's Hugo without the H. If that helps. Hugo.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go.
You,
Yeah,
Hugo.
Hugo.
Hugo, and tell us
there.
what Hugo got.
you go.
I did some reading on some low society people and stuff. And I did some hands-on research from last session.
Okay.
So that is my domain. That's what I'm picking.
Sure.
Sounds like that's going to come in handy with the people we're dealing with, these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of bread and butter of Red Row are low society and crime. But a lot of the regular folk trying to live here would all fall into that category. So let's get into it. Like I said, you have a couple days before your meeting with Ignatius. So you do have time if there's anything else you'd like to do, whether that's some research or following up on other leads or making preparations. And I'll leave that up to you guys.
If we were to follow up on one of our other leads, is there a risk of us like not making it in time to this meeting? Or
I mean, if you get killed, yeah, or kidnapped or lost in the Vermissian or one thing or another, sure. But not you've got time.
Okay.
This guy that we're supposed to meet, can I dig up some dirt on him?
You could certainly try.
I would like to use one of my abilities. So I would like to access the vault. This will allow me to access vast informational resources of the sages.
Cool. Yeah, so you can definitely do that. The vault is in the Vermissian.
I'm going in.
Yeah, you'll have to get there first. You do have your backdoor ability, which you can use to just automatically get in. But you also do have time right now.
Yeah, let's not waste it. I don't know, is that like a role-playing situation where we go through explaining it?
Yeah, I mean, since you have a couple days, I think you can just, head to one of the known entrances, the ones that you know, entrance to the Vermissian. Yeah, you could do that, or you could use the back door and go there immediately. But if you want to go for a little road trip, you certainly can.
Yeah, I'll do the road trip. I want to check to see if the one I'm going to go to has been closed off or anything like that.
Cool. Sounds good.
Remind us again, what is the Vermissian?
The Vermissian is a sort of alternate plane just shifted off of the Spire, which was the result of a attempt at building a mass transit system in the city that went horribly awry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's train hell.
Train hell.
Remember, train hell. Okay.
But train hell is a very useful place to hide things, and that's what the Vermissian sages do, is hide lore and knowledge there.
Cool.
But if you're like me, it's train heaven.
Sure.
Big into trains.
Okay, cool. Well, that's for Hugo. Does anybody want to accompany Hugo, or is there other things you want to do?
Can they come with me into the Vermissian?
They can. It's just they are not as prepared for its effects as you are.
They might go crazy.
Right. It can mess with the brain a little bit.
Yeah, how are your mental fortitudes doing? All right, I'll go alone. See you guys.
I look at you through like my hangover eyes. I'm like, great. Doing great.
You look ready to see some things you can't unsee.
Oh, that was my whole last night.
All right. I'll go alone if no one's keen on seeing it.
Sounds like it might be bad news.
Sure. So you make your way down to Ratcatch, which is one of the train stations, or former train stations. Now it is, just an old ruined building that most people know better than to enter because strange things happen when you do. You make your way, down the steps to the underground train onto the, platform. And you know that the entrance here is kind of, that part of the platform that overhangs the railing a bit so you can get underneath. So you kind of have to slip onto the tracks and then underneath into that area and kind of down the tracks. And you are heading towards the entrance that is there. When you see, actually, probably first you hear a bit of a scuffle, some clanks of metal and some hushed voices. And from ahead, you can see 3 shadowy figures.
I will approach stealthily, hopefully.
You are you're not in the Vermissian yet, but you kind of, this area.
This is my turf. Yeah.
Yeah, this is your turf. So you can roll, I think it's probably occult is the domain for the Vermissian here.
Yeah. 8 and a 3.
Okay,
so cool. 8.
8 is a success with no consequences. Yeah, so you see 3 figures here. One is wearing the telltale quarter plate armor of a knight with a lance at his side. Second person is a human who could only be described as like a steampunk guy. He's got the goggles and a bunch of toolkits and an overall and that kind of thing. And a third person who is wearing really rotten, dirty robes. And you see the knight is grabbing this person with the robes and dragging them towards the entrance to the Vermissian. And the human, the engineer, he's got like a little box that he's attaching to the wall beside the entrance, and he's fiddling with some cables and wiring and things like that.
Do I recognize this kind of box that he's putting on the wall?
I think you might have actually taken an old machine technology knack, right?
That sounds right.
Yeah, you've got technology domain and you've got a knack for old machines. So yeah, let's say you'd recognize it. It looks like some kind of small demolition device.
Oh, they are definitely about to close this bad boy off.
Yes, and that's something you have known has been happening recently as people have been closing these doors for some reason.
Okay. Is that engineering guy, is he alone, the human?
They're close right now because they're both by the entrance, but the knight is dragging the third person into the entrance, so presumably he will be gone shortly.
Yeah. If there's enough distance between them, I think I'd approach this human. Stealthily.
If you want the distance, then you'll have to wait for the knight to be on the other side of the door.
Yeah, that's fine.
The knight drags this poor individual who is struggling and shouting and kicking up dust and dirt, but then he and the knight just kind of meld into the shadow there and disappear.
Hmm.
And then the engineer continues his work. He's whistling a little tune, fiddling with some knobs and some wires. You can get right up to him.
I am looming over him, behind him, and I have my crossbow, and I slowly just push the tip like into his back. I'm not like thrusting it into him to murder him. I'm just,
You're letting him know it's there.
Yeah.
You see him go white for a moment and stop doing what he's doing. The screwdriver he was holding clatters to the ground. And he says, well, who are you? What are you doing? Stop. I'm not doing anything.
Hey, big fella, let's come bring it down. It's all right. I just have some questions for you. And if you don't tell me, I'm going to shoot this thing in your back. So I've been noticing that some of my entryways into the Vermissian have been blocked off, exploded, etc. And looking at this device here, I would say that you would be the culprit. Now, I would like to know, why the hell are you doing that?
Sure. Let's get a compel check out of you.
Okay.
Compel technology.
I do have compel.
Yeah, and I'm going to give you mastery too because you've got him dead to rights here. So caught him red-handed.
Well, I got an 8, 9, and a 10, and a 2.
Whoa.
Nice.
You really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty convincing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's take the 10. He figuratively shits himself and he's putty in your hands. He's got his hands up and he goes, I didn't mean any trouble. I'm just, I gotta get paid. I gotta take care of my family. I'm just don't hurt me. Don't hurt me.
All right, who hired you?
My boss at the engineering guild, his name's Karis. He's been sending us to blow these up. I don't know why. Just leave me alone, man.
All right, well, let's just empty your pockets, if you don't mind.
Sure. He's got a whole bunch of technobabble machines and gadgets and
Oh, that's cool.
sprockets and wingdings.
I'm more looking for an ID. I want to see something with his name on it.
Oh,
That's what
sure.
I'm looking for.
Yeah, I guess he would probably have his like retro engineer. What's the thing that engineers get? Don't they get like a ring or a?
Yeah, they got a ring.
Yeah.
Do they?
Does it have a name?
That's cool.
You can say it does.
Now it does.
Yeah, in this world it does.
Anyway, yeah, he's got his sign that he's a member of the engineering retro engineers guild, which is this little ring that has the retro engineer slogan, whatever that might be, written on it. His like proof that he's a bonded member, so to speak. And his name is Kenver.
Kenver. All right,
Yep.
Kenver. I'm going to take this explosive. Well, let me just make sure it's deactivated. And I do like a quick little check to see if like how far along he is, I guess.
He hadn't quite finished setting it up yet, so it's
Okay.
safe at the moment.
I pluck that off the wall and pocket that. And I say, well, I'm not going to kill you. So what I'm going to do is, or what you're going to do rather, is you're going to go back to your boss and say, job's done, it's blown up, no worries. And you're never going to come back to this spot again.
That's very reasonable. Thank you, sir. May I go now?
Yeah, and if it does get blown up, I know your name, and I will find you.
He lets out a little yelp and scrambles away.
All right. Good. Hopefully that'll keep this one clear for a bit. I'm still thrown off by the knight and the other guy being tossed in here, because that's probably one of the other sages would be my guess.
That seems likely.
Yeah, he said they was kind of in like dirty robes, and I kind of looked down at myself and do a little comparison.
Yeah, it wasn't like a dirt that like a regular wear and tear kind of dirt. It was like encrusted and like
Oh.
it seemed almost unnaturally dirty, and like the robes were kind of rotting away as you watched. It was something more than just a day's work.
Okay. Am I getting more of a Zeroth vibe?
No,
Okay.
not so much that.
All right. That's fine. So from my understanding, like when I enter, I'm not just going to like bump right into the night or anything, right? Like
No,
you enter in different points.
it's not like Euclidean space. It's like this twisted train tracks and stations and train carriages that are moving in and around. And you're not likely to run into them again.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I'm going to follow that up later. And then I kind of just walk on in.
Sure. Sounds good. You breach the barrier there and enter into the Vermissian. You get that chill that you've experienced before, that this place isn't meant to be and that it does not work the same way as the rest of the world. You see a train tunnel before you, but it's twisting in on itself and being bisected by station terminals. And you constantly hear in the background that like squeal of train wheels coming in on the track, right? And it's just constant.
Yeah, like music to my ears.
I guess maybe comforting in a familiar way, in a way that you're probably more safe here than other people are. But it's never pleasant, I wouldn't say.
Okay.
But you are experienced here, and you make your way through some of the tunnels and side doors, and through a maintenance hatch, and eventually to the vaults, which looks like an office that's just filled with reams of paper and files and folders and things like that. You may even encounter, isn't your bond like a vault guard or something?
Yeah. Paige, I believe her name is.
Yeah, the Vermissian Guardian. As you walk into the vault, you see Paige sitting at a recliner there with a book, reading away, and nods as you come in and say, hey boss, how's it going?
Hey, Paige. It's interesting. I just had to stop a guy from blowing up an entryway here. Weird day.
If only there were guardians to do something about that.
Seems you guys only protect the inside.
Anyway, yes, so you have access to vast informational resources of the sages while inside the vault. You can perform an investigate check on any subject. And that subject, I believe, was Ignatius, right? Okay.
What kind of files can I look at on him?
I mean, essentially everything is here. It's just a matter of finding it, right?
Gotcha.
It's a matter of finding it and figuring out which ones are actually real and which ones are from alternate realities that don't apply here, right?
Oh, that's fine.
So, whatever you want to try to find, you let me know. We'll roll for it and we'll see.
I think something good that we could maybe use is like criminal record was my thoughts, just to like see, what he's been involved with, or any sort of like police records, essentially the equivalent of.
Sounds good. So it'll be investigate. These were the Vigilites, so they are
probably not academia.
Vigilites are religion. So
no, okay. Just
and you're trying to find, I don't think anything too crazy, so I won't. There's no difficulty on it. So
okay,
go for it.
7 and a 3.
Okay. So 7 is success at a cost. So you're going to take some stress. Like we said, you're more experienced in this location. You know usually how to tell the difference between what is real and what isn't. But, every once in a while, there's still the possibility of slipping up and seeing something, like you said, that you shouldn't have seen. You open up one of the books and you accidentally open up the wrong book. And for a moment, you see yourself from above inside the book, and you turn up to look, and you are rotting, and your flesh is falling off your bone and stuff like that. Yeah, all that again.
Gosh darn it, Paige. I told you to put this in the...
I did. It came back.
All right.
And you take 5 mind stress.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness. I have 4 slots, so...
Nobody wants to see them rotting.
The good news is, you have 4 resistance already to mind.
Yeah.
So you just take 1 stress from that.
Yeesh. That was a doozy.
So you find what you're looking for. You find some information about Ignatius. When it comes to police records, a lot of that stuff is kind of what you would expect. He's a member of this violent Crimson Vigil gang. He's been wanted for arson, for violence, for being involved in gang turf wars and that kind of thing.
Like known associates or something?
You find out what one of his suspected cover identities is. his cover is as a merchant from the North Docks, respected and wealthy merchant.
A good takeaway. Okay. Sure. All right. Well, if that's what I'm going to get, that's what I'm going to get. So I'll head on back to the hideout.
Sure. What about the rest of you?
Well, Jeroth is going to go to Mass because, he's in the church and it's important to go to church, Got to stay right with the god of death. So
we've kind of said that you are maybe slightly off from the absolute standard carrion priest methodology, right?
Yeah. Well, there's like a particular sect that
Sure.
Jeroth belongs to.
Okay. So then I think it's probably up to you to tell us what that looks like.
It's kind of your bog standard church experience, right? There's a lot of chanting. There's a lot of spooky candles, people in robes. And I mean, we wear robes to begin with, but the carrion priests giving mass, their robes are huge.
Thick? There's a lot of
Are
it?
flowing super
Long?
far.
All of the above.
Okay.
Yeah. All of the above. They're super long. They've got what are those called, in the 80s with the shoulder pads? Makes them look really wide. I don't know. They've got shoulder pads in their robes.
Pauldrons?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, that's not what they had in the 80s, but I think that's what you're describing.
Well, I'm thinking about the suits people would wear in the 80s with the big shoulder pads. So,
yeah. I think you're specifically thinking of that one music video.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
What
the
is
one
that?
Talking Heads video.
Yeah. Because
robes.
that wasn't normal.
I don't know.
It was exaggerated, I'm pretty sure.
Well, yeah, anyways, it's like that. And it's mass, right? You show up, fucking eat some flesh, you drink some blood. If you grew up Catholic, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So
Sure. So do you, in this case, have... because eating flesh is not a normal thing for you guys, right? That was the whole thing. So do you guys eat a sanctified object that is the personification of elf flesh or whatever?
Eating crackers.
Yeah, in the case of Catholicism, exactly.
A transubstantiated cracker, yeah.
Unless you're going to specifically the sect of your people.
yeah, I mean, the sect that I'm in uses this dead flesh ability that's sort of the signature ability of our sect to take rotting food or rotting flesh and make it safe for people to eat. And so that's part of our ritual at Mass. So
Have you invited any of the others to join you on this? Or?
I mean, it's an open invitation.
He always asks.
I wasn't sure if there are other people
Every
around.
time.
And they've turned it down.
I tell you, gotta get right with the god of death.
Hard pass, Giraffe. Hard pass.
I'm going to go that route where just before I die, I say, I'm sorry.
You're a foxhole flesh eater. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna have the opposite of the organ donor thing, where it's just you cannot consume my body.
wow.
Well, according to the state, everybody has that card.
I need mine specifically for Giraffe, though.
Woo, okay.
He's been looking at me some kind of way. So.
It's an act of respect. It's an act of respect.
Otherwise, your souls don't go into the spire.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And he probably definitely waits till you're actually dead.
Yeah. Out of respect.
If he's hungry, though, he could encourage my death.
Do you want to be haunting people for all eternity? I don't want you to haunt people for all eternity.
This is a very side question. Just because of what we're talking about, it made me wonder, do you specifically have a do not resuscitate thing where if you're really, really dying, we shouldn't try to save you? Just for future reference.
Yeah, how bad you want to die?
I mean, nobody wants to die, right? But if you're gonna die...
But you are in a death cult, to be fair.
How close to death will Sog be eyeing your body?
At death, when it happens.
Okay.
You know?
I think they're pretty well trained, those hyenas.
We're not a doomsday cult or anything that wants to bring about the death for a bunch of people. It's just everybody dies, right?
Yeah.
You're like body janitors.
It's like they say, death and taxes, right? So
I just wondered if it was one of those things where
you embrace it.
yeah, exactly. If you could die, we shouldn't try to save you. But if I know
save
now
me.
that's okay.
Try to save me.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I mean, that's good to know.
But
I would try to save you. And if you died,
Yeah,
I'd
but I
still
don't want to
save you.
die.
I'd save your soul if you died, and I'd save you if you didn't die. And you're
These are
maybe
the kinds of questions we would know the answers to if we went to church.
exactly. Yes. Thank you.
all right.
That's fair. That's fair.
On your way out of another beautiful sermon, Jiroth, you see a small commotion in one of the streets. You see that someone on the ground has been stabbed and has died.
Oh my God.
But before you have a chance to do anything about this, you see the crowd part as a figure approaches the body. This figure you identify as a Mortician, who are the kind of official caretakers of death in the Spire.
Right. They're the ones who don't respect the, the traditions of the Drow. So
No, typically not.
yeah.
The Morticians, they have like white outfits with, a tall pope hat, basically. And they've got a staff, kind of like the Caduceus staff with a snake swirling around it, right?
Right.
The crowd parts to allow this person through because they have pretty much unchallengeable authority here in the Spire.
Yeah.
And you watch as they lean down and pick up the corpse.
No, I'm not just watching as they do this. This is
Okay.
not their territory.
It is, but not from your opinion, maybe.
Yeah, definitely not from my opinion. This is not their territory. And Jiroth recognizes this. His hyena song also big time recognizes this and growls at him or them.
Sure. Yeah, they're wearing a complete face mask, and they're in these bulky robes, so you can't actually really tell the gender. But this person notices you growl, or notice not you growling, maybe you're growling too. Notices
under my
growling,
breath. Yeah.
and gives you the look up and down, and recognizes that you are likely this carrion priest of Charnel. A kind of gravelly voice comes out, and they say, "All in good time. Your time will come soon enough."
Jiroth responds and says, "This is not the way of Charnel. You must leave now."
On that, we can agree. And he continues his work of picking up the body and turns to you without like a shred of respect and turns his back to you and just starts walking away.
Wow. There's no way for me to I don't know, are they bigger than me? Is it unlikely that I can intimidate or scare them off into leaving this body behind so that we can give them a proper send-off,
You think that would almost certainly be a death wish. These people are not to be trifled with lightly.
Wow.
But you can trifle if you want to.
If I wanted to.
If, and this is Jake speaking, you want your campaign to end tonight.
Okay. Right. So it's like widely recognized that these people are bad fucking news.
Yeah.
And is this particular one more intimidating than the others, or how tall is their hat?
Truly the only way to know.
You can fit a whole other person in it.
I mean, they all kind of look the same to you.
Okay.
They wear this uniform and
Wow.
Wow.
and it's not. I don't think there's anything that stands out about this one compared to anybody else. But
What makes them so intimidating? Or so feared?
due to the nature of their work, they are often in situations where there is violence, and they are well trained for that.
Gotcha.
Right.
You know that they generally have a way to get the respect of those around them. Jiroth has certainly seen times before where someone did try to interfere with a Mortician, but then the crowd around turned on them and threw themselves in front of the Mortician to protect them.
Shit.
Wow.
It's not advisable.
Okay.
But
Cool.
you still can.
But I still can.
Yeah. Put your knife and fork away.
Yeah, I should say that this is the Mortician is kind of the group. You know that these particular people who go about doing the work of the Morticians are called executioners, and for good reason. So,
Okay. Jiroth recognizes that, this is an executioner. He knows that by himself, he's not equipped to fight the Morticians. And so he just adds this to the list of reasons that he holds a big grudge against them and will hopefully be able to enact justice one day. And pushes it down.
Yeah, if you had your whole group here, maybe it'd be a different story, but on your own, that's probably the right decision. How about the rest of you? Leon, Istrin, anything you want to do in the couple days that you got?
I have a question first, because I did give money in the last little effort we did, but I said I picked up the money. Do I get to have that stress back, or do I need to make money?
I don't think you actually ended up taking any silver stress.
Oh, in the end?
Yeah, because if you succeed on a buy check, then you don't, you had enough money to cover it.
Oh,
You don't take any stress.
Okay.
But if you got a partial success, then you may have.
Then, okay. So then what I want to do is go give wherever this play is being played at, the Weeping Maiden play.
What are they playing at?
Yeah. I just want to give it a look over and see what I see.
Sure. Anybody want to go scope out the arena?
Scoping.
Front row tickets.
Yeah. The people who have already done stuff, you can still join. That's fine. You had a couple days if you want to.
I'll go on that one.
Leon, is
Sure.
it your treat?
We're not going to see the play. If that's what you're asking me. We're going to see the playhouse.
Will you get me concession?
You can have one fungi sludgy of your choice.
All right, let's roll out.
So yes, you have previously heard a little bit about this Weeping Maiden play. You know that it's kind of been touring the district, but generally it's been in kind of the, real cheap theaters and, in the back of a bar or something like that so far. But it is of note that this particular showing is being held at the arena, which is what it sounds like, an arena where gladiators come and fight and put on a show. And this would be kind of the first time that this has happened. They've kind of loaned it out to this play in order to accommodate a larger audience.
Because people just been trying to get to this so bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the talk of the town. So the arena, it's kind of like those step wells where it's below the surface, a pit essentially, and there are tiered steps leading up to the surface. And then there are a couple kind of towers at the corners where the, expensive box seats are. Right now, there's kind of, I guess it's a couple days. Do you want there to be a show on, or are you trying to go kind of more incognito and there's no crowds? Or
I don't know if this guy is seeing the show multiple times or not, the dude we're supposed to be meeting, but yeah, I just want to sort of scope out where he would probably be hanging out and maybe where the nearest exits are.
You heard from Corvy that Ignatius, the Crimson Vigilite you're supposed to meet, that he will be backstage in kind of like the kitchen area of the arena, that he has infiltrated the arena, I suppose, if you want to put it that way. And that is where you're intended to meet him.
I see.
So there would be kind of a back entrance in one of the towers that would lead down into the kind of the behind the scenes, the working areas.
Okay, so then I think, I would like to go there when there is a play happening, and let's go to concessions.
Sure. You're going from the front, so to speak?
Yeah, we're patrons of the arts here.
Sure. So it wouldn't be the Weeping Maiden right now, but it would be just an arena show. So just a gladiatorial combat is what would be happening tonight. And then the actual Weeping Maiden would be what you'll see in a couple days.
Perfect. No spoilers then.
When we get there, I would like to cast Eyes of Ishkra.
Eyes of Ishkra. Tell us about Eyes of Ishkra.
You grow additional eyes with which you can sense the threads of magic. And
Gross.
I roll
Yeah.
Investigate and Occult.
That seems good for us.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
On a success, you see all forms of occult magic in the surrounding area as shimmering webs of fate. Until the end of the current situation, you can follow these threads to the point where the spell is cast. Great. Sounds good.
That's a 9.
9. That'll do it. This is kind of just as you're approaching the arena, or
Yeah, like that way when we're walking through, if I see anything.
on the outside, you don't see a whole ton of magic about, just some of the ambient weirdness of the spire. But you can certainly tell, even from the outside, that within the arena, there is, kind of stronger concentrations of magic that we'll tell you more about when you get in there. Which, it sounds like we're doing now.
Sounds good.
Cool. So you can see there's a bit of a crowd kind of in the front of the arena entrance, making their way through ticketing. You see a couple big bruisers at the front entrance that are taking tickets and making sure people have stored their weapons and that kind of thing. So inside the arena, You make your way kind of through the hallway to the rows of seats. Again, it's kind of like this terraced set of bench seats, essentially. You can see in the center of the arena proper, there's a drow and actually a very large, intimidating Aelfir who are currently engaged in mortal combat.
How often do Aelfir fight down here? Is that normal?
Almost never, except for this individual, who you would know the name of because they are sort of, well, they're kind of famous around these parts.
Yeah, they're famous for cheating, I'm sure. His name is Axor.
His name is Proud Shimmering Beast of the Dawn.
Oh, I call him Axor. His fans know him that way.
Right, his true fans, yeah. The description is an Aelfir pretty boy brawler who is irritatingly good at fighting and managing several drug habits. Yeah, it's pretty rare for Aelfir to hang out here. This one lives down here and fights, and that's his whole deal. You know that he's not really, like, super welcome in Aelfir society. He's a bit of an outcast as well, but no sympathy for him. He's still a total dickwad.
Yeah.
And part of the reason he's so irritatingly good at fighting is because he has basically loaded with this, actually a drow magic technology called slivers, which are little enchanted needles that you put into various points in your body, kind of like permanent magic acupuncture.
Ooh.
That gives you all sorts of crazy powers. And that's pretty rare for anybody to actually beat him.
I knew he was a cheater.
Yeah, just like if Iron Man was just fighting some like guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He has the funds.
Istrin, you would see the magic around Proud Shimmering Beast of the Dawn. And specifically those you can see like the kind of slivers embedded in his back and muscles. Other things you see a bunch of audience members that are cheering and shouting and having a good time. You see the other large source of magic in this area is actually in one of the box seats. You see Mother Moon, who is the owner of the arena and probably one of the most powerful people here in Red Row. And she is a Gnoll. The Aelfir are currently at war with the Gnolls. She is basically came here as a refugee and just took the place over. And she's kind of got graying hair, except for the hair is not growing back because of like grievous wounds and scars. And she's wearing a muzzle, which is glowing slightly under your magic vision, which you know is basically a device that prevents her from casting the demon magics that Gnolls are known for.
Sure.
Is that something that all Gnolls have to wear here?
No, that's something special for her because she is particularly feared as a demonologist.
Gotcha.
That's kind of the lay of the land here. Is there anything specific you want to check out?
Yeah, it was sort of where we're actually going to go, kind of that area
Right.
where we're going to meet Ignatius. I would like to check that area out.
So that would be, again, kind of behind the scenes. You'd have to kind of go to one of the towers and head down from there. You see one of Mother Moon's guards outside one of the tower entrances who would not just let you down there for nothing. So what's your plan? Are you trying to sneak? You trying to convince? Trying to push?
Push him? How about I'll use pick a fight. Once per situation, ask the GM, who's the best person to fight in order to, and in this case, I want to make a good impression. But there are two other outcomes. I want to impress this guy, and then maybe my two cohorts can sneak in.
Okay, cool.
So then we get into a friendly conversation after I beat some guy in front of him.
So here's the problem.
Uh-oh.
The best person to fight in order to make a good impression right now would
On
be
him?
Proud Shimmering Beast of the Dawn.
Just on him? This guy doesn't just like beating up regular people.
That would be the best person to fight. But no, I see what you mean. There is actually one of the options. Best person to cause a distraction.
Sure, that
Yeah.
works as well.
I would let you beat me up. Or like fake beat me up.
Oh, it's not going to be fake.
You've got some pent up aggression against me.
I like to fight.
Then you're in the right place.
Yeah, and I don't pull my punches.
Mhm. That's not even that unusual for a fight in the arena to break out into the audience. So, there's a big drow person in the audience just near the tower entrance who's being real loud and aggressive and, shouting after Proud Shimmering Beast of the Dawn and just making a ruckus. And you can amplify that ruckus if you'd like by getting into a brawl with him.
I tell him, shut up. We're trying to watch the fight here.
And he, stands up and you suddenly realize how big and broad and muscular he is.
I'm still going for it.
And yeah, how about we just get a fight?
Yes. Can I use also the crowd goes wild?
Oh, of course, yeah.
When you fight in front of a crowd, gain the brutal tag.
Yep.
Cool.
It's going to be, I think, fight, low society. I'll give you mastery because you have picked out the best person to make a distraction.
Excellent.
Or the best person to fight.
Ooh, I got a 10.
Oh, my goodness.
Yay.
A critical on an attack roll, you deal additional stress. So then let's get you to roll for it.
Okay.
See how badly you annihilate this guy. So brutal means you roll your damage twice and take the best result.
Okay.
And this is unarmed combat, I assume?
Oh, well, you said they took our weapons away, so yeah.
Yeah.
I got a 3.
You start getting into a shoving match with this guy, pull back for a big uppercut, and you get him across the chin, and he stumbles backwards over the bench, whacks his head on the side of the stone terraces. But he's not done. He gets back up and starts charging at you full speed. And while that's happening, Istrin and Hugo, you see the arena staff that was guarding the entrance to the tower. They have started heading over to try to break up this little skirmish, leaving the door open for you two to do your dark deeds.
We go and do those dark deeds.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect.
With the guard distracted, Istrin and Hugo head through the tower entrance, and you see the stairs curl up the tower heading towards the viewing areas, but also down towards the kind of staff and behind the scenes area of the arena. And you start heading down with a kind of slight echo in the stone tower here. And we'll be back in 2 weeks. Thank you for listening to this episode of The House of Bob. If you're enjoying the show, please give us a review on Apple Podcasts, tell your friends, or hit us up on social media. We're at The House of Bob on most platforms. If you'd like to support the show financially, please check out our Patreon. We've got a whole load of bonus content on there for our patrons, including a monthly bonus recording for director's commentary and some one-shots. We also put out some RPG zines and a monthly blog post of RPG content. I'd like to put out a big thanks to all our current patrons. We couldn't do it without you. Thanks so much. Artwork for this episode was by Jake, audio production by Alex of Astronomic Audio, and the music was by Duke Albert. Thanks again for listening. Have a great day. Roll on.
We'll be back to see that guy get his ass whooped.
Well, sometimes it happens. Sometimes you're doomed.
Sometimes it happens. I did Web of the Mistress.
Mistress?
I did say mistress. Thank you. I did.
Sorry. I wasn't sure.
You're going to power through that, I think.
I was unsure if I was going to correct it. I probably should.
And if you don't tell me, I'm going to shoot this thing in your back.
No, my butt.
No, your back. No, your
Oh, back. Oh, sorry. I misheard.
Well, that's part of your back.
Yeah. Well, if you... yeah, sure. We'll see how good my aim is.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it. I don't know what it
I
looks like on your
see.
screen.
It says arena.
Okay.
Next to Fighter's Village.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, next to this burning pillar over here.
Yes, that is an effigy of a drow martyr.
Oh. Oh, right. The famous effigy we all know about.
Yes.